What's up, everyone? Welcome to another exciting Tier List Tuesday.
I love these.
Tier List Tuesday is actually the best day of the week, and a Tyranid tier list is the best of the tier lists. That means that a Tyranid tier list Tuesday has to be the best day of the year.
That makes sense. That checks out.
Absolutely.
That checks out. Yeah.
And it is.
Yes.
This is the best video that Biovore has ever made, or probably will ever make, at least until we get a new Tyranid Codex in like 3 or 4 years.
Or until we get to the Eldar tier list.
Unlikely. Alright, what's up, everyone? Hope you are all ready. We are here, we're hyped, we're happy. And in this video, we're going to be ranking every single datasheet in the Tyranid 10th edition Codex. Look at that beautiful tome. Look at that. Is that not just the most perfect thing you've ever set eyes on? A man could cry.
I mean, I'm going to cry when I have to fight it.
Oh, I cried when I read it. Happy tears. Sweet tears. All right, so hello everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful Tuesday, or if you're watching after the fact, whatever day it is, it's a tier list Tuesday in spirit, especially if you're at work. That's the real essence of a tier list Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
One headphone in while you've got an Excel doc open.
Hopefully with some tacos.
Oh, absolutely. That's the good stuff. All right, so we're going to be ranking every single data sheet in the Tyranid Codex.
Yes.
We've got 5 categories to choose from. But before we dive into it,
Yes.
if you're watching this, please like the video. Share with your friends, leave a comment, let us know which unit you think we are horribly underselling or overselling. If you think triple Neurolictor is not the way, feel free to let me know. I will disagree. But, but we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you want even more, make sure that you check out the War Room. That link is right in the description below, thewarroom.vhx.tv. And you can get access to all of our wonderful content, become a part of our wonderful Discord community, and trust me, there is a lot of Tyranid content in the War Room right now. I have been on overdrive.
There's bugs everywhere.
Yeah, no, there's a full infestation. There's an invasion in the War Room right now. I'm putting out like 4 Tyranid
really
videos
is.
a week. It's awesome. All right, so thank you so much for joining us. And Quinton, you ready for this?
I am. But before we have a fun fact.
It's a fun fact from
Today's
Quinton.
fun fact is that the Michelin star system? That's put out by the tire company.
You know, I always did wonder if it was the same Michelin.
That's the same company.
Yeah, there's some times where you see like a brand name on something, you're like, that's not what I associate with your name. All right.
Food and tires.
That's their thing?
Yeah. Well, it was from like the 1900s. They put out like a motorist pamphlet.
Uh-huh.
And now it's just like still a thing they do.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them. All right. Why did we do the Pyrovore like that? Because the Pyrovore and Biovore models look almost the same on a very small pixel. So we used the old one.
Yeah.
All right. We're ready. So we've got 5 categories here.
5 categories.
First up is Chef's Staples. These are the datasheets that we would recommend, nay, expect to see in just about every Tyranid list.
Yep.
It does not matter what detachment you're taking.
They're in there. They're just really good.
If you are making a genuine effort to put a competitive Tyranid list on the table, you are probably taking these units.
Yep.
The Chef Staples are real good. Real good. Next up is always on the menu. You don't order it, but you're always looking at it.
Yep.
These are the units that are pretty dang good and will often be seen in a Tyranid list, and they could be seen in multiple detachments. They're not just like a one-trick pony where you only see them in this, you never see them in that. They're not in every detachment, they're not in every list, but when you see it, you're like, yeah, that I know why that's there.
There's an acceptable reason this is here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The seasonal choice.
These are units that are basically only seen in one detachment.
But they're pretty decent there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe if one rule really lets a unit shine, you might see it there.
Absolutely. Next, we have Unseasoned.
Yeah.
You might send this one back to the chef. You might not. You might just finish it and make a note not to shop here again.
Yep.
But these data sheets, unfortunately, have a fundamental flaw that prevents them from being seen too often.
Yes.
Yeah, they're just not all there. Yeah. And then 1 star on Yelp. These are the units that are embarrassing. If you've eaten there, you may not tell your friends that you ate. You may say, nope, never heard of that place, but we shouldn't go there.
Yeah, these are units that have deep fundamental flaws with almost no redeeming qualities.
This is the one that got you to make a Yelp account.
Yes.
Just to warn other people.
These units are bad.
Which is a Mexican restaurant in North Carolina Airport in Raleigh. That
Really?
horrible. Horrible.
Okay.
I made a Yelp account just for. Or, I'm sorry, it's in Charlotte. Just for one Mexican restaurant in an airport. where I spent $55 on like the worst tacos I've had in my life. It was horrible.
Maybe you shouldn't eat airport tacos.
Yeah, well, you know what? I had a 10-hour layover. What did you want me to do?
I get that, yeah.
I was in a bad mood that day. Maybe I'll count. All right. Those are the 5 tiers.
Uh-huh.
That's where we're at. So, you ready to dive into this?
I am.
All right. We could have had the top one be Michelin stars.
Yeah.
We could. I mean, it's not even too late. We could do that. But we're gonna keep it as the chef staples.
I like that, yeah.
So let's start off with Barbgaunts.
Barbgaunts.
Barbgaunts are beautiful.
They're so annoying.
Yeah, they're so good.
They are.
I like them a lot. So what they are is, it's a 2-wound dude with a 4-up save, which is like shockingly durable for 12 points model.
Yeah.
And then they just put out a nice blast gun that slows down infantry.
It's like a bolter, right? It's a blast bolter.
It's 501.
Oh, it's pretty good.
It's D6 blast, ballistic skill 4 heavy, 501. It's very, very generically good anti-infantry firepower, and then one enemy unit that was hit by it, infantry, it gets -2 move, advance, charge.
Makes my Death Guard hurt very sad.
Yeah, it does. So they took a pretty decent nerf in that they were like cranked before.
Because every unit
it used to be every infantry
so you split fire 10 ways and your opponent's whole army was slow.
It would just stop moving.
Yeah.
But it's also like a 60-point, like relatively like cheap unit with a decent footprint. They're on 40 bases. So they take up space. They can screen. They can blast something.
I really like these things.
I like them a lot as well. They're not a unit that particularly cares what detachment they're in.
No.
They're a gaunt that doesn't have endless multitudes. So they basically have no keywords that synergize with anything. They're just Tyranid infantry.
They're like
dudes.
basically two gaunts super glued on top of each other, right?
Yeah, but then like T4 the 4-up save.
That does really matter. Wow.
It does. It's one of those things where it's like, wow, when you get it in cover, this is basically a Space Marine.
It really? Oh, wow, really is.
Really is just a Space Marine.
It's a 12-point Space Marine with a good gun.
12-point Space Marine with like
Why
a
is
useful...
this so much better than like an Intercessor?
That's the Intercessor's fault.
That's true.
Barbgaunts are very good. They're definitely going to be an upper end choice for me. I don't think they make it in every list.
That was exactly
the
what I thought.
main problem I have with them right now is about, 1, how tight Tyrant lists get.
Yes.
And 2, that there are just so many matchups where I go, wow, you are not helping.
Yep.
And there's a lot of units that for Tyranids that are going to slot into that about 60-point range. And so they're a good unit that has a lot of competition. Because you don't build a list around Barbgaunts.
No.
It's a tool you add at a point in list building.
I agree.
And there are a lot of tools to choose from. So the fact that there's competition isn't going to take away from the Barbgaunt, but it is going to mean that it's not in every list.
I think these guys are always on the menu, but I wouldn't put them in chef staples.
Agreed. Fully agreed. I think they're always on the menu. Every list I have, I would at least look at a Barbgaunt.
Agreed.
Like, I'm always considering it. They don't always make the cut. But they're pretty good.
Yeah, if a list doesn't have them, I'm not going to be surprised. If a list has them, I'm going to be like, cool.
Yep.
Barbgaunts, good job.
They're usually a unit that I find is in my list roster at some point, but then gets cut because I realize, wow, I am X points over. Let me look around. Okay, it's the one that doesn't help in 12 matchups.
Yep.
At that point, it's just a body.
Yeah, I mean,
I have bodies.
If you're playing exclusively Death Guard.
Who didn't take Mortarion?
Yeah,
like,
or Rhinos, yeah.
Yeah, like, what are we doing? Yeah, then it's great.
Yeah.
All right. Next, because these are apparently alphabetical, is the Biovore. We know where this is going.
Oh,
it's
Biovore
a long
hurts
way
my
to
soul.
the top. Biovore straight to the top. This thing is great.
It's 3
So it got a nerf.
It did.
I don't care.
It's still so good.
I actually like where it's at right now because you can only, now that they got a nerf, you can only launch 1 spore a turn, and it then went up a further 10 points. It's we're approaching double its initial points, and one of them is still an auto take. Obviously, it's really good. I actually think we're at the point where the Biovore doesn't need a nerf. One Biovore can be screened.
Yeah.
One Biovore can be shot by other indirect. Like, it's not just a free, 9 on secondaries every turn, because it's only 1 Spore Mine. Something else has to be going to places to max engage or behind lines or whatever you took. So I think 1 Biovore is just money.
But the moment I still remember this until I die. First of all, what you did previously gave me horrendous hatred for the Biovore, where you killed me with Spore Mines. But in this edition, you had 1 Spore Mine, slow down, 6 T-Cav and a Wolflord for 2 straight turns.
That was pretty great. It's your fault for failing the charge, if you think about it.
I rolled double 1s.
You sure did.
Was that a CP?
Good. We could have done all these. There was so much room for puns here. We could have done like all Gordon Ramsay. Bottom tier is like idiot sandwich. So many options. All right, we'll think about this the next time we do a tier list. We'll go real deep on it.
11th edition?
Yeah, so there's not actually that much to say. The Biovore is
it's just good.
It's just great.
Basically, every Tyranid list should have one.
Yeah.
Your list starts with one.
List starts with one.
How many points are they?
75.
Yeah, Tyranid lists are 1925.
Yep, just boop.
Yeah.
Pop that in there. I mean, they're actually like 1600, but we'll get to there. All right, next up is the Heartbreaker for me.
Oh.
The Broodlord. The Broodlord isn't inherently bad. There's nothing wrong with the Broodlord other than the fact that it isn't his friends. So the Broodlord can join Genestealer's flat period. That's it. He scouts Genestealer Scout. I think it's Scout 8. They don't inherently advance in charge, but the Broodlord's actually pretty decent. He's like 6 attacks, and I want to say 6 -2 2 twin linked dev wounds.
Should I look it up?
And then he gives the unit he's leading dev wounds. And he picks an enemy unit like that he's in engagement with at the start of the fight phase and gives them -1 to hit. Like that itself is very useful. He's a little overpriced, I think.
How many points is he?
He's like, you know what? I'm gonna actually have the MFM open because I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure he's in the realm of 80 to 90 points.
That seems right.
That seems okay. It's a little expensive. Let's also consider he isn't Synapse.
Yes, that is.
Which is a crime because he has been Synapse since I was.
Wait, the Broodlord's not Synapse?
Correct. You may be thinking, but John, he's had the Synapse, rule/keyword since at least 4th edition when he got his model.
Is it his whole thing that, like, he's
yes.
Okay.
A psychic beacon that summons the entire Hive fleet?
Yeah, that was, like, his job.
That's actually what he is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
You're right.
Cool.
If you think that, then you're correct. That is what the Broodlord is. However, he's not Synapse.
Chat says Broodlord is 90.
90? Yeah. He's only 5 attacks? That's unfortunate. Yeah, he's like a little expensive. I think he's like 10, 15 too many. Just because, again, not Synapse literally tells
90
me.
is too many points where he's not good on his own.
Yes.
Right, I wouldn't pay 90 points for him walking around to be annoying.
Giving dev wounds to a unit is a powerful rule, so I get why they priced him there. Unfortunately, Genestealers are going to end up somewhere on this tier list. We'll find out where later.
Yeah.
But just... he doesn't do enough.
He doesn't. I think he's unseasoned.
I think he's unseasoned as well.
They need to, like, put some salt and pepper on him, lower his points
This guy needs some slappy mama. Like,
yeah, he needs something.
Let's get some hot sauce, something on this guy. He is lacking in flavor.
Okay. The Carnifex. I love these guys.
The Carnifex is pretty good.
The Carnifex is... I have, like, very fond memories. My uncle used to play Tyranids when I was, like, 6 or 7. And I'd always run up and he would show me his Carnifexes.
Aw.
And I'd be like, what do they do? And he'd be like, they eat your face.
That's what I want him to do.
Yeah. Then he would eat my Space Marines and I was really sad. So I like the Carnifexes.
Yeah. Yeah, the Carnifex is great. It's also, it's, like, it was, I think, one of the very first plastic monster kits. I remember distinctly there was a point in the game during 4th edition where the Carnifex was advertised on the Games Workshop website as the largest monster in the game.
That's so funny.
And it was.
Yeah.
It was the largest monster in the game. And when I bought my first Carnifex, it was the largest monster in the game. And I gotta tell you, for a 4th edition kit, it actually aged. It actually holds up.
Like, I will say, I'm very glad Bugs got a new line, but like a lot of their old kits were like pretty solid.
The ones that they replaced, some of them that needed it, like old Gaunts.
Ooh.
I didn't realize old Gaunts were bad until I built a new Gaunt. I'm like,
wow, yeah.
I've been desensitized to how bad this old kit was.
Yeah. Do they still do like the mega shooting thing they did in the Index?
Carnifex?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything that you could do in the Index is still here. Okay. So the Carnifex, in my mind, is going to go seasonal because the Carnifex is very detachment dependent.
He's not very good in Endless Swarm. Pretty good Invasion Fleet.
Yeah. The best thing about the Carnifex, let's just cut to the chase now because we're actually going to rank him as well, is that you can attach Old One-Eye to a Carnifex unit. That's the best part of Carnifex.
Yeah.
And Old One-Eye gives his unit reroll hits.
That's a good ability.
Which is great. And then the Carnifex themselves get, if you shoot them and do a wound, they get to move d6+2 towards you. Very funny. They make like a fun surge move. So you get that. Like 2 Carnifex and Old One-Eye with reroll hits. And of course, reroll hits is best invasion fleets because you get either sustained or lethal, which also procs in Overwatch. And suddenly a Carnifex unit actually overwatches hard enough to kill like an Acolyte squad basically 10 out of 10 times. Very funny.
Don't they also kill like a Neophyte squad?
They almost get a 20-man Neophyte.
That's
they get,
why
like, embarrassingly close.
We gave Sean Nids.
Oh, yeah.
Put him into GSC like 3 times or something.
As many times as we could.
Yeah. For that reason.
Just for that reason. So I think that the Carnifex are going to go seasonal. I think Old One Eye is actually going to go a step above that because he's better
very good.
than the Carnifex.
Yeah.
But I love Carnifex in certain detachments. The Invasion Fleet is absolutely where they're at their best.
Yeah.
Crusher Stampede somehow doesn't help them at all because it is physically incapable to take a Carnifex unit below half strength.
So funny.
Yep, it's great. It's just awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just... That's just what it is. So we're going to put Carnifex in seasonal choice. Yeah. They're very good in certain detachments, but in some you just don't consider them. However, Old One Eye, we're going to talk about him now, he's going to go to always on the menu. Because you always take Old One Eye if you take Carnifex. But sometimes you just take Old One Eye by himself.
Yeah.
He's just a friend.
Sometimes it's really good to have a little friendly bug walking around eating people's faces.
Yeah. I really like having Old One Eye. I actually am thinking about taking one in my Synaptic Nexus. Now, I don't think Old One Eye belongs in every detachment, but he belongs in several. And obviously, he's good in Invasion Fleet. Because Old One Eye, just to be clear, is a Carnifex that has a 5 up Feel No Pain and heals D3 wounds in every command phase. Yours, mine.
Can I tell a story about Old One Eye?
Please do.
I played with my friend. He was playing Tyranid. I was playing Death Guard. And I walked Mortarion into the center. And I was like, you have nothing that can kill Mortarion. And he was like, bet. And then Old One Eye came in and soloed Mortarion in 1 round.
Okay, like...
He rolled really good.
Alright, I was just going to clarify. I'm like, hold on.
It shouldn't happen. But it did.
Old One Eye's dope, but he's not kill Mortarion in 1 round kind of dope. Okay. Glad we've established that.
Yeah.
Good for Old One Eye.
Yeah.
I actually really like him in a Synaptic Nexus, where not only can you give him an invuln just in case, but also you can get him +1 to hit melee and reroll 1s to hit melee. A thing that he lacks unless he joins a unit.
He does.
He's really only weapon skill 3, but he does hit hard. So I don't like that he's swingy, but if you give him +1 to hit, reroll 1s to hit and wound, he is suddenly not swingy, and I suddenly like him.
He's like annoying to kill.
He is annoying to kill.
How many points is this guy?
140.
He's really good.
He's really
good.
He isn't in my current list, but he is something I desperately want to try out more.
Yeah.
Old One Eye is great.
All right.
I actually really just need to like do a cool conversion for Old One Eye because I don't want to do like an old Carnifex.
Real ones to hit and wound. I feel like he will flip a Rhino.
Yes. No. He does actually. In a Synaptic Nexus, he checks my long-awaited box of a unit that on average kills a Rhino.
Strength 14 is where it's at.
Strength 14 is how you get there.
Yeah.
Old One Eye is awesome. I want that boy.
Okay.
So yeah, always on the menu in my mind for Old One Eye. All right. Who, buddy? Next up is the Harpy.
Okay, I thought the Harpy was good until I read its price tag.
Yeah.
It's 215 points for a unit that doesn't need to be 215 points.
Yeah, its damage output is weak. It's just D3 shot. It's twin linked, but it's D3 shots.
It's just not. We are in the numbers. It's like this thing shoots and kills like 2 Marines on a good day.
Yeah, on a good day.
Yeah.
They're rolling a little below average on saves. Yeah, you kill 2.
Yeah.
The Harpy makes me very sad.
He's a 1-star on Yelp.
So here's the thing. The Harpy is bad. Is he... Yeah, no, you're right. He is.
He is distinctly worse than the Broodlord. The Broodlord's not good, but at least it tries to do something, right?
Yeah. It is distinctly...
If the Harpy were like 75 points cheaper, it'd be considerable. But like 75 cheaper is like, come on.
Well, funny enough. That's when they printed the Harpy at 165, a 50-point discount of it from its current cost. There was a moment where several friends of mine went and acquired multiple Harpies because they're like, oh, it finally went down in points. Because I actually really like the bombing part of it.
Yeah,
I really like that part.
Yeah.
I don't like the rest of it, but I like just dropping 4 more... Because Tyranids are an army, somehow, that is starved for mortal wounds, which I know where we were in 9th, and maybe this is God's way of laughing at me, but we can't do mortal wounds anymore.
Not really.
And that's a really big problem for Tyranids, actually. Is that someone who's like, oh, I have a 2-up shave, a 4-up invul, the fate dice half damage, and -1 to wound, and you're like, sweet, I will go find something else to do.
Yep.
Guess this objective is yours, let me try somewhere else.
What unit is that?
It could be anything.
Could be anything.
Yeah, and even 165 wasn't going to get it into always on the menu. 165 was going to go to Harpy to seasonal choice, just so we're clear.
Yeah.
Like a 50-point discount, I'll put this thing in the middle.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking.
We should have made 1-star on Yelp health code violation.
Dude, there were so many.
We could have done.
You know, you don't realize it until after you press go live.
I know.
There were 20 more puns just waiting there. All right, Harpy makes me sad. I'm honestly done talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't do
anything.
It doesn't know what it wants to do. The best thing it does is it flies over you and does mortals.
Yep.
And then it has it has like a fine gun that's not a 215 point gun.
No.
And it doesn't do combat.
No.
That's what it does.
That's what it does.
All right, let's get the big man on campus. The man with the cape.
The tallest model in the NIDS Codex.
Technically that is true. Actually, I think the Flyron's taller.
Okay, yeah.
But like, come on.
Why?
So this is Deathleaper. Deathleaper went from a tiny man who is smaller than Pharaoh's Ironfather to being bigger than a Demon Prince.
He's so big.
For his efforts, he received +1 armor save.
Yep.
And -5 points.
Huzzah!
Huzzah!
He is the biggest toughness 6/7 model in the entire game. Like, he's so big.
He is massive. Deathleaper is fantastic.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's a really big, good infantry lone op with a 4-up invuln, stealth, fights first, 7 wounds, aura of -1 leadership, some more, take extra battle shock shenanigans.
He's one of those units that, like, doesn't do anything at 100%. He doesn't kill you. He's a little too expensive for being just a mission play piece, but he does like 12 things at like 75%, and he's really good because he does a million things. Yep. He hits hard enough that he will probably kill like a captain most of the time.
Not even most, sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a very real, like your opponent can't discount it.
Right. Like,
but I can't count on it.
Like if he hits a Farseer, I'm like saving fate dice and rerolls and stuff because he could do it. He can get UCP if he does that. He's an infiltrating fights first lone op, so like charging him can be awkward.
Yeah.
He's not that expensive. He's just really good. I think he's always in the menu.
This dude's huge. He's, however, a chef staple.
Okay.
It's really simple. Find me a list that doesn't include Deathleaper.
Never mind, chef staple.
Done.
Yep.
It's just that he's a 70-point lone op.
He's 70 points?
He's 70 points.
Why do I think he was 90?
No, he's 70 points.
Wow, 70 points.
Yeah, he's just like, you're right. He doesn't do like anything crazy. He's just really good for a very cheap dude. He's awesome. The -1 leadership is the best part because it makes your shadows plays way better.
Yeah.
Then he's just yet another 4-up invuln lone op, which is always big thumbs up. Yeah, just great. Just love that for him. Lone operative is a good rule. Yeah. He's a chef staple. He's going to go below the Biovore because we are going to do these in in order. Although we will probably revisit it later on. Let's go with the Exocrine.
The Exocrine.
So the Exocrine, pretty good.
Thick, cheap, shoots kind of hard.
He definitely shoots pretty good for 135. He's not great.
No. But
he's pretty good and he's pretty cheap.
So I originally read his data sheet and I was like, this is not great for like a 160-point monster. And then he was like, oh, he's 135. That's pretty good.
There is very little consistency on the Tyranid pricing model. It really feels like two different people priced half the units of this book.
Yeah, I agree.
Like whoever thought that the Exocrine was 135, I'd like to give that man an award and a cup of coffee. That wasn't the person that put the Toxicrene at 200. Like... It might be 190 now, but...
Sure.
Yeah. Exocrine is pretty good. Fits into most lists.
Yes.
Is better in some detachments than the others.
Probably not taking him in like an Endless Swarm.
I actually still like one.
That's fair.
Because you know what? Sometimes you need to kill a dude who has a 2-up save.
You really just do.
Yeah, and you know what? 36-inch gun sounds like people can shoot you back until you put 35 inches of gods in front of them.
Yep.
Then it's like, oh, never mind. Not a problem. I don't think they're quite a chef staple, because I don't think you need them in every list.
No.
But I think the Exocrine belongs in most lists.
I agree. I think he's at the very top always in the menu.
Yeah, he guides people by giving them real ones to hit against whatever you shoot against. His gun looks like it's giving you a big thumbs up the whole time, and so I'm giving him a big thumbs up.
Oh, it really does?
Yeah, look at that. I can't unsee it.
No, I can't.
Yeah, so Exocrine, pretty dang good. It's a good gun. It's a good profile.
Yeah.
Like, it's not dynamic, but dang it does what I need.
Sure does. He's also, like, annoying to kill.
Yeah, it's not, like, hard, but it's definitely 135 hard to kill.
Yeah.
And I love that for him. You want to talk about the Flying Hive Tyrant?
Every time I see one of these things, I expect it to move 26 inches and then, like, ninja kickflip 4 knights at the same time and then yeet back to Alpha Centauri.
Yeah. At the point where they decided Tyranids could no longer be an army that does damage in melee, they voted hard on the Flyrant. He's not bad is the funny thing. He's 215, which is not cheap, but he's, 10 wounds, T9, 2-up save, 4-up invuln, flies 12, is a aura of free strat once per player turn, and then he puts a nice -1 attack down in the fight phase on 2+ on when he takes mortals. It's pretty... I think he's good. He's going to get overshadowed by the Walking Hive Tyrant. We'll talk about why in a little bit. But the Flying Hive Tyrant isn't bad at all. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that you look at the Flying Hive Tyrant and the Walking Hive Tyrant and say, oh, obviously.
Yeah, why does he only move 4 inches faster than the Walking one?
Dude, people were mad.
Yeah.
People were mad, and there were so many different ways to, like, fix what was going on with the Flying Hive Tyrant, because I acknowledge he couldn't stay in that state forever.
No.
Although he'll always be there in my heart.
He was quite good for, what was it, like 5 editions in a row?
I've basically run a flyer into every edition since 4th edition.
Wait, he can't take Brain Leech Devours with something.
No, yeah, those are gone. Those have actually been gone.
My heart.
I am quite sad about it.
My heart will go on.
Yeah. It's a little bit sad.
Yeah.
It's a little bit sad. Still, like, there's nothing wrong with him.
We just wrote a list of one in there.
Yeah, his main benefit is that he has the Vanguard Invader keyword.
Yep.
And so he's pretty good in the Vanguard Onslaught. I don't think he's, like, even in the Vanguard Onslaught, you sometimes still take a Walker because the data sheets are, like, hilarious compared to each other. But I still think that he's going to go to a seasonal choice.
I agree.
Just because his biggest flaw is that he's not the Walker, which isn't his fault.
No.
Doop. Sad Flyrant.
Yep.
All right. Gargoyles.
Screams internally in move blocks.
Gargoyles are great. It's just... every time I play a game with Gargoyles, they're like, all right, what do the Gargoyles do? I'm like, okay, it's a cultist with a jump pack that has a gun. You don't care what the gun does, but it has the Shadow Spectre, Fire and Fade, and Deep Strike. And that's all it is. It's just a cultist with a jump pack and the Shadow Spectre roll.
I hate these things.
Awesome.
They're so good.
You, like, barely... I haven't even, like, played them into you.
It's not having played them, it's the thought of... You also did. You move blocked my whole army with 1 unit of Gargoyles.
Yeah, you're right. I did do that. And I do it again.
Yeah. Chef Staple, got these things up there.
Yes.
Are they OC2?
They're OC2.
Oh, yeah. Go.
1 unit of Gargoyles basically needs to be in every list. Just at least 1. And I'm very willing to hear the arguments for more than 1. As a matter of fact, I have gone from 1 to 2 because the one I had made me very happy. Specifically against the Space Wolves.
Yep.
Yep. They are... You could... Yeah, I mean, like, you could write a list without them, but 9 out of 10 times it's worth finding the 30 points to upgrade your cheap Neurogaunts to a Gargoyle unit.
Yep.
Because I think every NID list, no matter the stripe, wants some cheap idiot unit. And Gargoyles are the best of the 4 different 10-man cheap idiots. They're the most expensive for a reason.
They're so good.
They're pretty dang good. Are they the cheapest model in the game with wings? I like that idea, so I hope you're right.
How many points are there?
7.5 points model. It's gotta be up there, yeah.
Wow, that's really good.
I mean, it's a T3 1 wound guy with 6-up save, so like...
His gun is also relevant.
His gun is AP 0, damage 1.
Is it strength 3?
Strength 5, actually.
What?
It's not, like, terrible.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's strength 5. I'm not gonna lie to you, I very rarely get to the roll of wound stuff with these things. I think it's 18-inch 501.
Strength 5.
Yeah.
501.
Also assault, right?
Wow, it is.
Love that part. Yeah, Gargoyles. They're pretty great. A staple. But they're going to go below the Biovore because they're not that.
No.
Good. Next up, we have the Hive Crone.
Remember what we said about the Harpy? This thing is somehow way worse.
Yeah, this is...
It's terrible.
It's not even... So, honestly, that's what gave me pause about putting the Harpy in the 1-star. It's not that the Harpy isn't bad. It's that I'm just like, oh, but I really feel the need to distinguish between how bad a Harpy is and how bad a Crone is.
The Crone is like, ask for a refund bad.
Yeah, that is fair. I would send this back to the kitchen.
I never send things back. I would send the Crone back.
Dude, it's... I need to know. Because, like, honestly, man, I've kind of forgotten how much it costs. I'm pretty sure it's north of 200 still. Where's the Hive Crone at? Starts with an H, not a C. There we go. Clean 200. Clean 200 on the Hive Crone. Are you reading it?
No, but I'm just...
Go ahead. Go ahead. The Hive Crone is utterly terrible. I firmly believe it is the worst data sheet Tyranids have access to, for the record.
So the Hive Crone, for 200 points, you get a 12 wound, toughness 9, 3-up save flyer.
Does he have stealth?
No.
Good.
It has Deadly Demise and Hover. If it shoots against a flyer, it gets +1 to hit.
Yeah.
Its gun is 2d6 shots, strength 6, AP 1, damage 1, torrent. Then it has 8 shots at strength 5, AP 0, damage 1, hit on 3s. And then it also has the
tentaclids are what you get the +1 hit for.
Then you get tentaclids, which are 4 shots, hit on 3, strength 7, AP 0, damage 2, anti-vehicle 4+, def wounds, and that's it.
Yeah, like, it does provide, like, a modicum of anti-tank.
I mean, like, some.
Yeah, no, it on average does 2 damage to any vehicle you want.
Yeah.
It's 200 points.
200 points,
It's 200 points. It's a lot of effort to average 2 damage into any vehicle you want. I'd rather literally bomb them with a Harpy.
I just love the fact that it gets +1 to hit, and then it's a Drool Cannon is torrent.
It's bad, dude.
It's like the Lord of Virulence gives himself real wounds on his ranged attacks, but his gun is twin linked.
Good for him. Good for him. All right, Hive Crone is going to the bottom of the pads. It is the worst data sheet here. Nothing is going to go below this.
Yeah.
Like nothing. I'm just scrolling real quick. Nope, nothing is going to go below this. We're good. All right, I'm done. Horuspex out of here. Or sorry, Hive Crone out of here. It's time for the Horuspex.
Horuspex. Is this thing still like annoyingly cheap?
Yeah, it's 125 still. It's great.
Why
It's very, very tough. It's T11, 3-up 14 wounds for 125. Very durable for its for what it is.
Does it do anything?
Oh, like theoretically, it has 4 attacks that are not terrible and 14 attacks that add up.
Oh, this is the funny guy with the precision tongue that
He
always fails to kill my Farseer.
Dude, the fact that you just like refuse to fate dice that makes me so mad.
Like, nah.
I'm like, but you die on a 3+. And you're like, well, I didn't fail, so no. Yeah, Horuspex ain't bad. It's because it's the cheapest monster we have access to, and yes, technically, it is tied for cheapest with a Carnifex and a Psychophage.
Those aren't real monsters.
Well, they are. Like, they're all, like, big monsters. But then, like, one of them is 14 wounds, T11, and the rest are T9 or 10 and 10 wounds, or, like, so. So the Horuspex is the cheapest big monster. It doesn't do a lot of synergy with anything. Its rule, off memory, is that if I kill something in melee, I turn into a 6-inch or a Battle Shock, which is admittedly hilarious if it works. There's a bit of a downside to that, is that when does this happen? In my fight phase.
Oh, wow, that does nothing.
Does nothing. So, like, you can try to synergize with, I'm going to do this so that you're battle shocked with something else in the fight phase before I hit you with a different thing. But, like, okay, how many times does the Horuspex get to charge something that's going to kill within 6 inches of something else you need to kill? And by the way, you can totally afford to not start there. Right? Like, this isn't really real. This isn't really a thing. It's great in the Assimilation Swarm. Yeah. Because that's its detachment.
This thing kills Barbgaunts like nobody's business.
I suppose it would, yes. Yep. The Horuspex is pretty good. I like how cheap it is. Yeah. I think it's seasonal.
I agree. I think it's seasonal.
Even though 125 is like really cheap, I find it doesn't make it into most attachments.
Move 8 is annoying. And
dude, that's like the highest move characteristic in my army.
Oh, wow. Move 8 is great.
Yeah, thank you.
But, like, this thing can just get Rhino checked. Like, you might kill a Rhino. Probably shouldn't.
Yeah, the 4 attacks that are just hit on 3s, wound on 3s in most vehicles is just like...
hit on 3s, wound on 3s, and
is
do a 5-up save.
Is this 3 saves or 1, and then you make it?
Like, yeah, who knows. Also, D6 plus 1 damage sometimes is like 2.
Yeah. Upper seasonal is about where the Horuspex is landing, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
That's where I'm feeling here. But yeah, in Assimilation Swarm, it's like auto take, literally just slam 3 into the Assimilation Swarm.
Oh yeah.
But then the Assimilation Swarm is also like not one of the top ones, so it gets a little weird. Let's keep going down the H's. How about the Hive Guard? I mean, Jack would put these in S, but
just for the sense of that,
he still remembers.
So I thought the shot cannon ones were great, and then it turns out they don't actually have dev wounds and they're only AP 1.
Yeah, because they're anti-vehicle 2+, right? What a tricky way to trick you.
Yeah. Man, the Impaler cannons are damage 1 now. Wow.
Yeah, they're AP 1 damage 1 now.
Wow.
Yeah, remember when they were AP 2 damage D3 ignore cover? They are no longer that.
They really are.
really feel like Hive Guard needed ignore cover, like built in, or ignore cover against something visible to a Synapse creature. Like there had to be a way to get these guys ignore cover, because they're just an AP 1 gun.
Yes.
No matter how you slice, no matter which option you go for, would you like 4 indirect shots that hit on 4s at best? 4, like 2 shot cannon shots that are kind of short ranged. The Overwatch on 4s when you're on objective is super cool.
But you can't do out of line of sight anymore.
But you can't do out of line of sight anymore, so they actually took a bit of a nerf on that.
Yeah.
They're really lacking.
They don't do anything. I think these guys are unseasoned.
Agreed. They aren't.
They're better than the Hive Crone.
They definitely are, and they are merely 110 points for 3. The fact that they went up in the most recent MFM literally scars me.
They are
How did they go up?
They're kind of thick.
But they're so uninspiring, and they were literally non-factors in the index, and someone was like, I think this should go up.
Yeah, they're not great.
Yeah, they're going to be lower on the unseasoned end.
I agree.
Yeah, it's they're bad. Okay. Let's go ahead and go to Hormagaunts. Hormagaunts are the unit that I really want to love the most. Honestly, so
charge, right?
Look, they do. So let me tell you something. I've been playing Tyranids for a while, and the very first thing I did with Tyranids, the first tournament I ever won with Tyranids, was an RTT that was held on the 4th of July, and it was 1776 points. I'm not joking. This was also in, I want to say, 2013. No, wait, oh god, it was before that. It was 2010. Wow. Anyways, this was a while ago, because it was in between middle school and high school.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure that means I was 14 at the time. Yes, I think this was 2010. This was July 4th, 2010. I had 40 Hormagaunts. And I had them all tooled up, and they were actually pretty good. And I absolutely love them, because you used to get to the point where you bought them poisoned and furious charge, and then they were +1 strength, and then if they were going into something where poison didn't matter, they got to reroll wounds. So when you went into Space Marines, you're I'm strength 4, poison 4+. Well, I already wound you on 4, so now I reroll wounds. And you would just have Hormagaunts just go in and just absolutely drop Terminators and Space Marines by just being and here is, chuck, 30 saves. You're 1 wound because we're playing 5th edition right now.
Yeah.
You just killed every Space Marine infantry in the game. It was awesome. Killed Thundercalf too. All of it died. Anyways, that was the last time Hormagaunts did damage. 5th edition, July 4th, 2010. I won an RTT with Hormagaunts that did damage. That was the last time. They haven't done damage since.
The new models are sick.
The new models are... They other than Deathleaper, they might be the best models that GW made with anything. They're Velociraptor Pouncing. They're so good.
They're so good.
Anyways, let's talk about what they are. No more talk about the past.
They're a move 10 advance and charge guy. Toughness 3, 1 wound to 3 up save. They're OC2. And the 3 attacks they hit on 4s, it's string 3, AP 1, damage 1.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's no way to really get them wounding well other than someone fails a battle shock and is near a Neurolictor. And so you can give them lethal hits and some detachments. And I think they're actually best in the Invasion Fleet, not in the Unending Swarm. Because in the Unending Swarm, you cannot get them to do damage. Because all you can do is give them critical hits. And I don't care how many hits Hormagaunts get if I wound on 6s.
Yep.
I don't care. So... I think that Hormagaunts are going to go unseasoned for me.
I agree.
I don't even think that they're great in... They're better than Hive Guard.
They're so fun, though.
They're so fun, and they're very fast.
They are. They're one of the most iconic units in the game, too.
Yeah. Tagging units, however, is a lot harder now than it used to be because of 1, vehicles shoot into combat.
Yes.
2, vehicles are surprisingly better in combat than you remember.
They're they all hit on 4s now?
Yeah, they all hit on 4s now. So it's the Hormagaunts will tag your Rhino. I hope you don't kill 1 model, tee-hee-hee. And now it's I hope this Land Raider doesn't kill 5 Hormagaunts right now.
Yeah.
And then still shoot.
Yeah.
And you're wait a minute, what am I doing here?
One thing I've been doing is I'm wow, these 3 Warwalkers should, they kill 6 or 7 like gaunts on average if they fight. Like too much.
Yeah. Something I do actually want to note really quick is that I really appreciate all the super chats we're getting. We're going to hold all the super chats till the end.
Yes.
We will get all of them at the end of the video, but we are going to hold that till later on. Okay. So, yeah, Hormagaunts just needed a little more love. Let's now go with Lictors.
The Lictor...
The Lictor is just one of those units that loses out by comparison. The Lictor didn't do much wrong. It went down like 5, maybe 10 points or something, and it lost a 5-up invuln. I don't know why it lost its invuln. But it's the same as the Index.
I mean, it's
totally
It's a
fine.
hard-hitting, fights first, lone op with stealth. It gets
it's hard-hitting for what it is.
Yeah. And by hard-hitting, I mean, like, you will maybe sometimes kill a captain.
You really might.
Yeah, you might even... You probably should kill a wounded captain.
Oh, a wounded captain is, like, actually in danger here.
Yeah.
You're going to put 2 to 3 saves on that captain almost every time. You just kind of see what he does with this.
Yeah.
But, yeah, a Lictor... It's like there's nothing inherently wrong with this datasheet.
Mm-hmm.
It just loses out on being the 3rd best lone op in a book with, like,
a million.
4 lone ops.
Yeah.
And so... The Lictor never really makes my list. And I always want to take one into Vanguard because it has all the keywords and it's cool. And then you get like even more lone op stuff. But yeah, and I do genuinely believe that the Lictor lone op, like invuln thing is a typo.
Yeah.
Like there's no fathomable reason to give it a 5-up invuln for 2 months and then remove it. Now, is this a typo that GW will admit to and fix in a couple weeks? I'd like that. Is it one that they will fix in 4 years? I would not like that. But you know what? Better than never fixing it. So... I don't want to put the Lictor low.
It's not bad.
But it's missing something, and it's not seasonal because there isn't a detachment I actually want to take them. I think it's just the best of unseasoned.
Yeah, I agree.
There's nothing inherently wrong with the Lictor. It just doesn't do enough to justify, and there's a point where you stop buying lone ops, and it's usually before you buy the Lictor. Yeah, like I'm already running 4.
The Neurolictor is just better. It was way better.
Yeah, the Neurolictor is hands down.
They do the same thing, but it's way better.
Yeah, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
In every way.
Like, 3 Neurolictors and Deathleapers enough lone ops.
Usually is. Never you really don't need more.
Yeah.
Okay. Lictor's sad. The new model, by the way, is absolutely
real good.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's so posable.
Running theme. Turns out the Tyranid models are really good.
Yeah, this is one of the best model releases that they've like ever done.
Yeah.
Maleceptor is up next.
Brainbug shoot hard.
Brainbug shoot hard. I didn't appreciate the Maleceptor when I read it. And if you are like me and you made the same mistake I did, then play the Maleceptor a couple times. Because after I put the Maleceptor on the table, I realized I was incorrect. The Maleceptor slams. It is phenomenal. I personally like a Maleceptor in all of my lists, but I don't play a lot with every detachment. So it might not make chef staples, but it's definitely going to be always on the menu at a minimum.
Oh, yeah.
But the Maleceptor, like, it's easy to look at and say, okay, it's 35 points more than an Exocrine. For that, the gun is +2 strength, but -1 AP. It gets a 4-up invuln, but is also half the range. And then it has, like, a weird 6-inch debuff rule that never comes up.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. When you actually play with the Maleceptor, you realize that 6-inch aura comes up all the dang time.
Because he walks onto an objective.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I have a 4-up invuln, and I'm T11, and 14 wounds.
Yeah.
And you're like, ah.
Still out of stock.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he wasn't out of stock, I would actually probably be running 3 of these.
I think I have one.
No way. Look at that. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I played Tyrants for a while, remember?
Honestly, I thought you played them for one tournament and borrowed all my models.
No.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
If you have a Maleceptor, we're talking after this, and I'm going to buy dinner for that. The Maleceptor, yeah, the aura is incredibly annoying. The -1 to wound comes up more than you'd think.
Yeah.
Because there's a stunning amount of times where, like, there's just a character who you couldn't quite kill, and it's very funny when the Incarn goes into your army and says, nothing can kill me, and then you do 8 damage to it, and it's like, aha, and you're like, surprised you wounded me on 6s. Like, sit down. And it's like, oh! Yeah. It's like, stop. I only have 2 Maleceptors. I really desperately need a 3rd.
Yeah.
But this thing is phenomenal. I think it's better than the Exocrine, but the Exocrine is a different long-range gun, and so if you're not taking many, a long-range gun...
They're one of those things that's very comparable, but they honestly do different things.
Yeah, it looks comparable, but until you realize it's actually totally different.
Because the Maleceptor goes forward, the Exocrine sits back.
Exactly. I think I can do like here ahead of the I think it's ahead of the Exocrine because I like
agree.
the 4-pin Volmon a lot.
The 4-pin Volms. Because, like, the Exocrine is like, wow, I hope I pass these 6-up or don't die to these Bright Lances. The Maleceptor's like, whoops, I made 3 4-ups. You don't do any damage this turn.
I mean, I also sometimes you fail 3 4-ups and you die, but, like, you know, let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
I love the Maleceptor. It's very close to being a staple. There's a couple detachments where you don't always take it.
Yeah.
Mainly is that it's not that big of a deal in the Vanguard, although I still like it. And then it's not like something you need in the Swarm.
Yeah.
But I think in the Nexus or the Invasion Fleet, which I believe are our 2 best, it is a staple in those 2.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like right on the edge of a staple, but just not literally there.
I agree.
But this thing's great.
Yeah.
Next up is the Mawloc. What a guy who doesn't know what he wants to do in his life.
The Mawloc. So he does a cute thing where when he shows up, he can sometimes do mortals.
Sometimes does mortals, and then on a 5-up you take a battle shock test as well as the 3 mortals. The 5-up is clutch.
Yeah.
You hit it. But then he's not very tough. He's not like fragile either. You know, he's T10, 14 wounds.
Yeah.
His melee is stunningly good at killing hordes and stunningly bad at anything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's
16 attacks, damage 1.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah.
Mawloc. I love that he does a mortal wound bomb. I hate that they took away his ability to go back in reserves.
Oh, we can't do that anymore.
Yeah, if he could go back in reserves, I would, because then it's like, I appeared and I'm not that useful, but if you ignore me, this will happen again.
Yeah.
Now it's like, if you ignore me, I'll go tickle your intercessors for several turns.
I love how this melee is stunningly ignorable.
Sometimes. Kills like a squad of guardsmen every time. He
does.
God awful at killing space. I don't know what to tell you, man. Yeah. It's just so weird. I think he's unseasoned.
Yeah.
He's not bad. I don't think he makes the cut. He's like 140, I think. Yeah, it's very much... It's 145. It's very much like on the edge of what I'd pay for this kind of data sheet.
Yeah.
But I just think that it doesn't do enough.
I agree.
Next up, we've got Melee Warriors.
Melee Warriors.
Yeah.
These guys are actually kind of scary.
I actually really like these.
Yeah.
So Melee Warriors are, no joke, are probably our best melee unit, other than like Old One Eye.
Yeah.
And a Norn Assimilator. And then this is an infantry unit, so it's definitely our best melee unit that can go through a wall.
Yes.
What
size base are they on? Nobody knows.
40 mils.
Wow.
40 millimeters if you're going to a US Open event, which is what I reference everywhere else. 50 mils in Europe. I can't explain it. But the Melee Warriors are 6 attacks, 5/2/1 twin linked. And when you add a prime, which we'll talk about more later, they get pretty good, and then they can choose to reroll 1s to hit or save in combat. Mm-hmm. So if you have a detachment that can get them +1 to hit, that would either be the Vanguard Onslaught or the Nexus. You're now at that sweet hitting on 2s, you're rolling 1 spot. Funny enough, they're actually not as good in the Invasion Fleet, because you can't get the plus to hit, and the buffs you get them are sustained hits 1, which you already have for a prime.
Yeah.
So the prime doesn't actually do much there, but you still kind of want them for the movement. So in the Invasion Fleet, meh. Not bad, but meh. Although at least you can then give them critical 5s in melee, so like they still hit pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're pretty good into a couple of detachments.
Yeah, I agree. They're really good in the Vanguard.
They're really good in the Vanguard. They get advanced in charge and all the keywords if you have a prime attached. Mm-hmm. I actually like them a lot in the Nexus because you can give them +1 to hit, and they're an actual melee unit in an army that desperately needs it.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a big synapse unit to run all your buffs off. Mm-hmm. And then the other weird thing about them is that there are a lot of detachments that have an enhancement with no home. Like, oh, I'm going to give a unit +1 strength in melee, and you're like, what am I putting this on?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, a warrior unit. Because like the prime is, a flying synapse character that's not a monster, so he can take almost every enhancement. So they're like weirdly seasonal, but they're seasonal in like 3 detachments.
I think they're seasonal.
I think they're the best seasonal choice. I agree. They don't make every list, but I really like them in Vanguards. I think they're actually very cute in Nexus.
Yeah.
I think you actually really want 1 unit in an Assimilation Swarm. You could even justify them in an Invasion Fleet, and at that point, it's like, wow. But they don't, like, always make the cut, which is weird. So it's 50 millimeter now, asterisk, depending on where you buy them.
Yeah.
I literally just ask. There are ballistics go up in skill 3 for the record, but yeah, Warriors, just ask your local organizer about the base size, because no joke, the U.S. Opens, they just went and pulled a box off the shelf in order to make a ruling. There were 40 mils inside. The website in the U.S. says 40 mils. The website in the UK does not say 40 mils. Ask your TOs. Yeah, but I love the melee warriors. And to be clear, this is the melee warrior datasheet, because the other warriors are going to go somewhere else.
Yes.
Mucolids. Mucolids don't do anything. It's a slightly bigger spore mine that you have to pay, like, real big boy points for.
How many points is this guy?
I think it's, like, 50 points a model.
What?
Oh, it's hilariously bad.
Oh, this thing's terrible.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
1 star.
Yeah.
It's, like, objectively worse than the Hive Crone, because it does literally nothing. And you can take 2 of them for 100 points. But, like, how many mortals do they do?
So, on a 1, you do nothing.
Yes.
On a 2 through 5, they take D3. On a 6, they take D6.
Yeah, like, this is so not enough mortals for what this thing is.
Nope.
I think what you genuinely would have to do is make it be, like, it'd be like a Doom Bolt. Like, on a 1, you do 3.
Yeah.
On a 2+, you do D3 plus 3.
Yeah, and on a 6,
And on a 6, you do
like
6 plus D3.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be that to be, like, remotely justifiable. But, like, the fact that there are so many different chances for this thing to do 1 mortal is, like, absolutely not. You can't CP any of this.
I feel the 1 does nothing.
Yeah, you do a 1, it does nothing. And on a 2+, it could still totally do 1 mortal. And on a 6, it could do 1 mortal.
This thing averages, like, 1 mortal.
It averages, like, 2 point something.
Yeah.
But it's 50 points.
For 2 mortals?
Yeah, like, no. I'm not doing it.
The
All right.
Neurogaunt.
You know what? We're actually going to... I'm so sorry. We're going to put Spore Mines in the exact same place right now.
They also do nothing.
They also do nothing.
Except for if they're shot of a Biovore, then they do everything.
Yeah. Yeah. They're also expensive. I think it's like 45 points for 3 of them. I know it's a number I hate. 55 points for 3 Spore Mines. Like, they're laughable. They just didn't want this to be a thing.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, we have the model. We have to make this legal, but, like, please don't.
Yeah.
The Mucolid is the one that offends me, because at least Spore Mines have a role. Mucolid is nothing. All right, we're done with that.
Okay.
Neurogaunts.
They're the worst gaunt. They have the worst data sheet in the game. In terms of, like, the fact that they do nothing. But they're great.
Yeah, like, of a model with OC, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're better than Spore Mines, but...
Yes.
But this is very cheap. It's basically 4 points per model.
Yes.
And there is close to 4 points models you can get for just a body that does not even pretend to contribute other than spreading synapse, which is actually still kind of useful.
Yeah. So we, I talk a lot about, like, what is the value of a model? Like, ignoring every other factor, how many points is an empty base on the table that can hold objectives and push buttons and screen? It's about 4 points, and then Neurogaunts about 4 points.
Yeah, they are very cheap.
Yeah.
Lining them up in places. They're also very cute. I have 66. They're very useful.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're, like, something you always need, because they're... All the other Endless Multitude units have more of a purpose than they do.
Yes.
But sometimes you don't want a purpose. You want to fill 45 points with a unit that can screen out the front of your deployment zone.
Yep.
And for that, I think they're always on the menu.
They are.
I don't think that many lists don't need them.
No.
Many lists decide to upgrade to Gargoyles, but every list needs a Gargoyle or a Neurogaunt.
I will say they are the ultimate unit that takes up space, and you don't care if they die.
Yeah, absolutely. They are as disposable as a Tyranid could possibly ever be. They're beautiful. And you know what? Just T3, 1 wound, 6 up save, still requires 11 shots to kill it.
Yep.
Bare minimum, you need 11 attacks to kill this cheap Neurogaunt unit. I've had 22 Neurogaunts with a Neurotyrant and lethal hits on 5s, drag down Be'lakor and melee.
They're weirdly good at that.
He deserves that. He really does. God bless. That's amazing. That's so funny. Good. Yeah, no, Neurogaunts, awesome. They're very, very cheap and bad. I mean, the cheap is so good.
Yeah.
We are now in the end step, which means our next thing is a Neurolictor.
Straight to the top.
Not only is it straight to the top, it is the best unit in the book.
Yeah, this thing is bananas.
It is better than a Biovore.
So what does the Neurolictor do, you say? Well, it has 6 attacks with precision at 6-2-1.
That's the least relevant stat you could have picked.
Yep. I was going to get that out of the way. It's got a 4 invuln and 7 wounds. It's annoying to kill.
Yep.
It's got infiltrators, lone op, and stealth. All incredible keywords.
Yeah. Not fight first, which I missed.
Yep.
My first game, I thought they were because all the other Lictors did.
Don't worry, you didn't do any damage to Typhus.
Yeah.
In your command phase, you can select an enemy unit and they have to take a battle shock test.
It is only 12-inch range, which is admittedly, like, not always going to come up. You can pre-measure. You can, like, be like, oh, I'm just going to be wholly within 12 of the objective marker.
Yep.
If you touch it, you'll take battle shocks. You can do things like that.
Additionally, if an enemy unit is within 12 inches of this model while they're battle shocked, they're -1 to hit, and you get +1 to wound.
Yeah, that part's really good. It's the Chaos Knight, like, detachment rule?
Yeah.
No, it's the Chaos Knight actual army rule. Stapled onto a load up with a 4-up anvil and 7 wounds and stealth. That infiltrates.
And this thing's like 60 points, right?
65.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I love the Neurolictor.
Yeah, this thing's nuts.
And
every army would take these if you could.
This is one of those things where every army would take it. And I think that the Neurolictor, despite being the best unit of this book, is not broken because unfortunately they just made it so that the army requires this.
Yep.
But it's just one of those things. It's like taking orders in Guard. It's like, oh, you can't build a list without Leontis. Is Leontis broken? No, the army requires him to function.
Yeah.
Because Tyranids are an army that relies on battle shock.
Otherwise you do no damage.
Otherwise you do no damage at all. So like, I am very worried that they would look at the Neurolictor and say, wow, he's in every list, let's nerf him, without realizing. It would be like nerfing Leontis. We're like, wow, you literally can't order your vehicles unless you take Leontis.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, a tank commander is like 200 plus points for one order.
That seems bad.
You can't afford that. Alright, that is the Neurolictor. Again, I like 3. I've run many lists with 2, and 2 is totally fine.
But like, at least 2.
2 is the minimum.
But
every
the
list
fact that we're
takes
saying
2.
minimum 2, probably 3 is like, yeah. Okay, we got the Norns. I don't know the difference between these two. Which one is the first
one? Is the Assimilator.
The Assimilator. Is this the worst one that costs more points?
It is the one that doesn't have an invulnerability for feeling pain against mortals and costs more points, but does hit harder.
Okay, so you get the Tox Injector Harpoon, which is like a 2-shot Bright Lance. That's 12-inch range. Then you hit embarrassingly not hard in combat.
Well, he's fine.
So you have 6 attacks at 923, and then 4 attacks at 12, 3d6 plus 1.
Yeah, have you found a strength 12 in this codex yet?
No,
Okay.
Old One Eye.
Old One Eye. I thought I think he's 14. Yeah. Yeah, hits decently hard for what he is. He is like 300 points, maybe 305.
He's
305.
Yeah, he's fine, I guess.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing where the Norns, because both the Norns are getting ranked here, honestly. Because I actually think that you would take one of the Assimilators before you took your 3rd Emissary, just for variety. But all the Norns are Synapse, 2-up armor save, 4-up invul, and get their funky feel and pain on objective. They're quite good in Nexus. This guy actually has more play out of Nexus, in my mind, because that +2 to charge that he can get actually synergizes really well with things like the Vanguard that let him come in from reserves turn 1.
Yeah.
Where he just comes in, picks a thing, and just harpoons, and then pulls himself into a 7-inch charge and hopes. Yeah, I really want this guy to be better. I think it's still a little expensive, but it's so polarizing is the problem. Because you have to price the Norn like it has grabbed its objective and gotten a 5-up feel of pain.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's broken. If you price it like it didn't do that, it's like, oh, it got there, now it's unkillable for its points.
Yeah.
But then you also have to think, wait a minute, what if I go second and an Eldar player is playing against me? Oh no! Because we saw, at least I saw, a triple Norn list go second against Eldar, and it was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Not the new player's fault at all. That's just what the matchup was. He lost 2 Norns on his turn.
Yeah, that should happen.
Yeah, just sure. You try to charge the Avatar, lose 2 Norns. Great, thanks. If they were characters and could take enhancements, I would be have a very different opinion on them. But they're not characters, which I actually think that was a miss. I really think they should be. Because they're so cool.
They're not characters.
They're not characters. If they were characters, I would actually take at least one.
Yeah.
Because the enhancement would actually go somewhere. As it is, it's a weird thing where taking a couple Norns, I think, is a bad idea. But taking 3 Norns will successfully stat check most armies in the game. However, as soon as you fall flat, you are flat on the ground.
Yeah, it is literal maximum Unga Bunga.
Yeah, and they're very good at that.
Yeah.
Until they're not.
Yep.
And then you die. So, I don't know where to put these.
I think unseasoned?
No, they're better than that.
They are.
I think they're seasonal.
Okay, seasonal.
Because they're actually quite good in Nexus.
Yeah.
Because it really helps the stat check. And, I can't say that something that stat checks 75% of the game is bad. I just don't like it because I'm trying to go more than 75%.
Yeah.
But they are objectively better than average. I think honestly, I think that the Norns are better than, a Haruspex.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and put them right next to each other because I genuinely believe that they are right next to each other.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put the Emissary first The Emissary has a better gun, is cheaper, and most importantly, is less likely to get alpha struck on turn 1 horribly. Mm-hmm. Because when you don't have that Feel No Pain up and someone just lines up the Bright Lance cannons on you, having a 4-up Invuln is really nice, or a 4-up against Mortals, or whatever bit of defense you can scrap together to avoid getting alpha struck. I think it's worth it. All right.
Like the Norn Assimilator, someone turns off their armor save, just like...
Oh, yeah. The second someone finds a good line on you with an AP4 weapon, you're just like, oh no. You're just so dead. Mm-hmm. Which is what happened, funny enough. They got shot by fire prisms.
That'll do it.
And then they just died.
Yep.
Quite sad. So, yeah, they need a melee profile that isn't a joke. Yeah, I don't understand how they made this guy have eye contact with Canis Rex, and then we're like, Strength 9 is good for you.
Yep.
Every time I see monstrous in the description of a weapon, only to find out it wounds...
The Thunderhammer?
No, that it's... Yeah, every time I'm like, oh, a monstrous venom cannon. What is this? It wounds on a 5. Mm-hmm. Yep. Having to explain it to each new opponent is also, like, so frustrating.
I know.
They're like, what does the Tyrant do in combat? I'm like, man, don't worry about it. They're like, no. Like, what does he do? I'm like, okay. Like, watch this. Sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like explaining it. I'm just going to roll an attack into you real quick that doesn't count. And they're like, wait, you did 3 damage to me. I'm like, that's the Hive Tyrant.
Was the Norn in combat? The Norn lost combat to my Rhino.
Yes, he was in combat. I activated on your Rhino 3 times without killing it and then died.
Yep.
To the Rhino.
To the Rhino.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. All right, we're done with that.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about the Neurotyrant instead.
This guy's annoying.
This guy is great. So the Neurotyrant is just 105 points to basically put 2 units into 4 synapse every turn, and then he also calls down the -1 leadership during shadows, which now that this army is more synergistic with Battle Shock than before, getting your opponents to fail Battle Shock is more important than it was.
Yes.
Therefore, the Norn, or the Neurotyrant is more important than it was. On top of that, it increased his Neuroloid range from 12 to 18 inches, which is the real point where you have people out of Synapse now being in Synapse. And from there, he's a good flamer.
Flamer's good.
Good flamer.
2 damage flamers are good.
Yeah, 5/1/2 ignore cover.
Even more important, the Neuroloids are really cute.
Neuroloids are adorable, doing a happy little dance. They're my favorite. This thing is very firmly above average. I think it's always on the menu. It's not a staple because it is 105 points just for the -1 to Battle Shock in some lists.
And
I will say there are some detachments where he goes to Chef Staple. Mm-hmm. I think that this thing is going to be towards the top of always on the menu.
I agree.
But there are some detachments where he's not as important.
I would say between...
I like him a lot.
I would say between Maleceptor and Exocrine.
That's where I put him.
Yep, cool.
Yep, right. Slapped him in there. In a Nexus... Nexus is so good. No, his Synapse buff went up to 18 inches. It's so good. The Neuroloids.
The Neuroloids.
Yeah. He's somewhere in there.
He's somewhere in here.
Where is he? Did you go past him? I think you went past him. I think he's like right in the front. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, there he is. Neuroloids.
18 inches.
18 inches. Gotta love that. All right. Let's go to the Parasite of Mortrex. My 4th favorite non-Synapse load-up. Okay. The fact that they did him dirty and took away his Synapse makes me so sad.
So no Synapse. It's a lone operative. It doesn't do damage in combat.
It is the fastest load-up.
It is, himself.
But doesn't have an invuln.
Nope.
Doesn't infiltrate.
Has a 4-up save.
Has a 4-up save. And it's also the lowest wound count of the load-ups.
Yeah. The Neurolictor is, like, embarrassingly difficult to kill.
Mm-hmm.
This thing's not. This thing dies to a Warwalker every time. The Neurolictor should not die to a Warwalker.
Yep. And the other big problem is that this guy's not cheap.
How many points is he?
I think he's like 75.
Oh, wow.
Let me just double check that. Like, make sure. 80. That means that of the 4 lone ups, he is the only one who doesn't infiltrate, has the lowest wound count, is the most expensive.
Bottom of unseasoned.
Yeah, he is definitely better than Hive Guard.
Yes.
What kills me is that he is a character, so you can give him enhancements, but there aren't a ton. I think in the Assimilation Swarm you actually do take him, because he's the only lone op character, which is normally a bad thing because I want my lone ops to be running around not giving up assassinates.
Yeah.
Oh, Deathleaper, obviously. But whatever. But in the Assimilation Swarm, he can then take that enhancement. Mm-hmm. So you have a really good aura. But that's the only one that has an aura that he can take and that you want to take.
Yeah. Okay, cool. The Winged Tyranid Prime.
Man, talk about a guy who does not know what he, like, wants to do.
Why is he so... Oh, did he go up to damage 2?
He was damage 2 before.
Okay.
But he's AP1. I don't know, man. They don't really know what they want him to do.
Strength 6, AP1, damage 2, 6 attacks in combat, nothing else. He moves 12.
He joins warriors. He gives them sustained hits.
He's a 6-wind warrior.
Yeah.
Other than that.
But he moves 12, which means he can, like, movement hop the non-movement 12 warriors, which is actually really useful for combat. And then he also gives sustained hits, which is very good outside the invasion fleet.
And
he's not expensive. He's 65.
He himself fights on death on a 4-up.
I always forget that.
Yeah.
Yes, he fights on death on a 4+.
Sure. He also has every keyword.
He does have every possible keyword, which is awesome. I'm going to put him seasonal because he's very good when you take a melee warrior unit.
Yes.
But he has no value outside of being added to a melee warrior unit. So he is going to go right with the melee warriors because they are right next to each other.
Yep.
Yeah. I really would have bet money that there was going to be a plastic strike kit when I saw this.
Yep.
I really would have bet money, and I would have been wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be soon. Like, give me some Games Day exclusive Warrior Prime on foot to go with the Foot Warriors, and then give me a strike kit in 18 months with Okram's Razor campaign supplement. Yeah. I don't know, man. Do that. All right. Sad. Psychophage time. We're going through the Leviathan models now.
The Psychophage never dies to a Land Raider Redeemer.
The Psychophage is stunningly durable because it has a 5-up Feel No Pain built in, which is actually super cute, and it's an aura of 6-up Feel No Pain. That's all it does. It doesn't have melee, its gun is lying to you.
It has a hilariously bad melee and gun.
Yes. I think... What is it? Oh, right. It's +1 to hit and wound against people who are wounded and below half strength, etc.
Yeah.
So, I think the Psychophage is just unseasoned.
I agree.
A 6 of Feel No Pain is occasionally useful, especially outside the invasion fleet.
I would say he's slightly better than the Mawloc.
I would agree. He's towards the top of unseasoned.
Yes.
But he just doesn't... 125 is unfortunately just usually the point where you get another unit, and you want that more than 6 of Feel No Pain. That has to be in position.
It is much more useful in non-invasion fleet.
Yes.
Because in invasion fleet, you're just like 5-up, 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 5-up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But now, not an option. Whew.
Okay.
Pyrovore. I used the old model, not because we didn't have a new one, but because it looks way too similar to the new one on a tiny pixel.
Yeah.
I have to figure out how I'm going to paint them to be different. So, what are we going to do with the Pyrovore? He is a 30-point dude who puts a flamer out that ignores cover.
And he makes everything ignore cover?
The thing he shoots with his heavy flamer that's twin-linked does not receive the benefit of cover for the rest of the phase.
These things are good.
They're so good. The 80 mil base is a bit funny. They do have the assimilation to be amazing in the assimilation swarm. Mm-hmm. They have the keyword to be. And you can take them in units of up to 3, which is big funny and takes up so much real estate. They're also very durable stat lines for their points cost.
Yes.
I love Pyrovores. They are not in every list, but they're in every list that took guns.
I think they're always on the menu.
At a minimum. I actually think that they're like ahead of the Maleceptor.
I agree. They're quite good.
They are very... Just because they're so cheap, because it's still just a dude who can like do a mission place and stand in a spot. Mm-hmm. They are the worst points per dollar in the game, I believe. I believe that they have supplanted the Iron Striders.
How many points is the Pyrovore?
30.
How many dollars are they?
50. It's rough, dude. I actually have 3 arriving in the mail today. I was not happy with that.
Yeah.
But you gotta do what you gotta do.
Like, wow.
Yeah, it just having one of them poke out, shoot a thing, ignore cover, rest of your army shoots it is incredible. And if you're taking Maleceptors and Exocrines, you do want Pyrovores. Yep. And then the Pyrovore can also synergize the other thing, and then it has assimilation value. So it's it's really up there. The Pyrovore's great. Let's now talk about Raveners. So Raveners are weird. They are not very durable at all, and they lost some movement, but they are a ton of attacks with twin linked, and they're not that expensive. It's like 75 for 3, I think. I want to say it's 25 points a model.
Okay. I kind of like these guys.
They're not bad.
They're not bad. They're not like, I wouldn't take them in a competitive list, but they're not bad.
Yeah, I think that they are... The main thing that hurts them is that they have 0 keyword synergy at all.
How are these guys not Vanguard Onslaught?
They don't have Vanguard Onslaught, and they don't have... There isn't a tunneling detachment. They're not synapse. They have 0 keyword synergy at all.
I'd say these guys are maybe bottom of seasonal choice. Like down there with the Winged Tyrant.
Yeah, they're below the Wing Tyrant. They're cute. They blend things. They teleport, which is nice. Like, it's a good rule, but then you're like, oh, I'll just put a Spore Mine there.
I feel like this is the kind of unit that other armies want more than the...
Yeah, it is. It doesn't really synergize what Tyranids wants. It's just an all-around useful unit. Like, when you compare this to a Space Marine Scout unit, you can really see how they got it to where it's at.
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh, but like Space Marines want this. I don't want this. I already have cheap
I would take this in a Space Marine unit.
Yeah, I probably would.
But like the problem is the Spore Mine does the action part better. And you don't really need like 5/1/1.
Yeah, we desperately need a tunneling detachment.
Oh yeah,
desperately. Yeah, I'm still surprised that they did an Assimilation Swarm over a tunneling detachment. I feel like I feel like the tunneling detachment.
But the problem is Sneaky Boys. You get like Raveners and the Mawlocs and stuff. Snaky boys.
Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and hit Ripper Swarms. Ripper Swarms are useless, other than the fact that they cost 20 points deep strike and are cheap as chips. Wait a minute. They're not useless. They're great.
Stuff staple?
No, they're always on the menu.
What? They're like 20 points for like
they
a dude.
are. I somehow am not taking any.
What?
I didn't have 20 points.
Okay.
It's very simple. If you have 20 points, you take them. If you don't, you don't. Because the problem is that you need to have exactly 20 points.
That's a good
point. If you
point.
have 30 points, you take another Pyrovore.
Oh, it's fair.
And if you have 10 points, you don't take either. You need exactly 20 points to take a Ripper. And as soon as you take 2 Rippers, you're like, wait a minute, we're now basically a Neurogaunt.
Yeah.
So they are very good for their points. They just only fit in very specific intervals.
I like them.
I like them a lot. They're very cute. Just having a Ripper Swarm Deep Strike and deploy a Teleport Homer and then scuttle away to like 3 bolt guns is very funny. But
oh, the toughness 2. They're so cute.
Oh, they die at a quickness.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing else to it. It's just very cheap. I think they're just always on the menu because you're always looking to add a Ripper Swarms, but they're always getting cut as soon as you're full.
Yeah. They're very cuttable. They're like an extra enhancement.
Yeah. Yeah, but like all the Tyranid enhancements are either garbage or auto takes. Like there aren't mid-tier Tyranid enhancements. This is the mid-tier Tyranid enhancement. Add a Ripper Swarm. But then as soon as you take a couple, you're just like, wait a minute, I'm going to take Pyrovores instead. Like, if you have 3, you'd rather have 2 Pyrovores than 3 Rippers.
That makes sense, yeah.
That's just how it works out. Next up is the Screamer Killer Carnifex. A man I am actually very fond of. I think that the datasheet for the Screamer Killer Carnifex is really good. However.
Wow, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's like 10 attacks at 10 minus 2/3. Again, vaunted wounds a rhino on a 3 category. Causes a battle shock test when it shoots. It really...
This thing kind of slaps.
Yeah. Also has a 2-up save.
Oh, it does, and it's toughness 9. This thing, okay, I like this thing.
You like it a lot. Yeah, I also like it a lot.
How many points is it?
That is why I don't take it. Because, like, it looks like it's a mid-sized monster that's, like, has better rules but not the same stats as a Haruspex.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it looks like. So you think, oh, the Haruspex is 125. Surely this thing is in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's 170.
It's 170.
That is too many points for this thing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's just...
If it was like 150,
it's 170.
I'd like it.
Yeah, if it was 140 to 150, I would get 135 is it goes in the list.
Yeah.
140 to 150 is I look at it and in some list it'll sneak in.
Yeah.
More than 150 is like not really gonna happen. 170 is
Never.
What are we doing?
Unseasoned?
It's unseasoned.
It's unseasoned.
It's going below the Psychophage for me.
I agree.
It's right around here.
It's near the mall. It's just too expensive.
It's just so expensive for what it does.
Yeah.
But what it does is like genuine. Like really, the data sheet is actually very inspiring.
That's just totally fine.
Yeah, gets a 2-up save, which is actually kind of rare.
Totally could be fixed with points.
Yeah, this is just a fixed with points problem. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, well, 150.
The Sporecyst.
This thing was bad, then it got nerfed in the Codex.
I see.
You
can spawn a Mucolid, and you can fire Overwatch with its 10 shots at 5/1/2. What? Okay.
Yeah, and it fires Overwatch. Woo! It used to be that it fired every time an enemy unit moved within 24 of it, up to 4 times per movement phase.
Yeah.
Instead, it is now fires Overwatch for free, which is 1/4 of the output, or it can make a Mucolid.
This thing's bad. It also doesn't move either.
Doesn't move.
OC0.
And it's expensive.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, they were like, hold on, we made this datasheet as a joke. Why is someone taking this? Never again. 145 is way too much.
It's 145?
Yeah, this thing needs to be sub-100 to even be considered.
Oh, yeah. If it was like 50 points, maybe you'd take like 3 and they'd be like funny.
If it was 50 points, I would legit take 3 just to make...
Oh, they can't infiltrate?
No, just a dude.
They can't move?
Yeah, they lost all that.
Wow.
It also is OC0, don't worry.
Okay. Is
yeah.
it a fortification or is it... No? It's just a guy.
Well, fortifications don't exist, fun fact.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just a unit.
Wow.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
That's it. It's just
guy.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to see the Mucolid. I also hate that this thing can no longer make Spore Mines, even though the kit comes with 6 of them.
You used to have this and the Biovores.
Yes, because it made Spore Mines, and the kit is sold Sporecyst and 6 Spore Mines, and it doesn't make Spore Mines. Why are there Spore Mines in the kit if it doesn't make them?
Do you know whose fault that is?
Yes, Quinton. I know whose fault it is. Doesn't mean I'm happy.
Your fault, John.
I think this is worse than the Harpy, better than the Crone.
I agree.
Only because I want to show that the Crone is terrible.
Crone is real bad.
Yeah, it's just... This thing needs to be able to make 3 Spore Mines or a Mucolid, and it needs to be like 80 points. Both of those things. And we're good.
Yep.
Alright. Gene Stealers.
Gene Stealers.
Gene Stealers got nerfed, and it makes me heartbroken. Why did Gene Stealers get nerfed? Again, GW's choices just logically make 0 sense. Why is that? Why is that? Anyways, Gene Stealers lost the reroll wounds. They now reroll 1s to hit and 1s to wound against people on objective, instead of 1s to wound full rerolls.
This is a perfect example of the fact that an awesome new model is not broken.
Yes, they did not write their rules to sell the new model. I promise.
These guys are sick, though.
Yeah, they're sweet. I mean, like, this datasheet does have potential. It doesn't hit that hard, but it's still 4 attacks at 4, -2/1, gets stab wounds if there's a Broodlord, has some inherent rerolls to weapon skill 2. It's like a good blender. It scouts 8. Also, 2 wounds with the 5 up invuln is actually kind of annoying sometimes.
Sometimes.
But, like, how many points would you pay for this?
I'd pay, like, 10 to 12 points a model.
Yeah, it's 17.
It's no.
Unseasoned. I think it's actually worse than the Broodlord.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's worse than Hormagaunts. I think it's worse than the Parasite.
Yep.
It's better than Hive Guard.
It is.
Just gonna do that real quick.
Yeah.
Cool. Unseasoned. It's very unseasoned. Gene Stealers are worse. Like, I would so much rather have a Screamer Killer than 10 Gene Stealers. No contest.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the Screamer Killer does something.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just a little too 10 wound model for its points.
These guys don't really actually hit that hard.
No.
They're not that fast. They're not that durable.
Yeah. It's rough. Swarmlord.
Yep.
The Swarmlord really doesn't know what he's doing. So he's like the stat line of a Hive Tyrant with 2 extra attacks.
His gun's pretty good.
His gun is actually pretty good. It's a 5/1/2, I believe, not ignore cover flamer.
Yeah.
Cool. A D6 plus 3 shots.
And he's 8 attacks in combat.
Yeah, and he gives you a CP, and he gives you a Vect, and he's a 9-inch Orb Synapse instead of 6.
Yeah.
But he is still a 10 wound guy with a 2-up save 4 pinball. And there is a points cost I will pay for that, and there is a points cost I won't.
I agree.
The points cost I won't pay for that is the old points cost for the Swarmlord when he was 250 points.
Oh, wow. How many points is he now?
270.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Got real big on
GW looked at the Tyranid points, and they raised the points on quite a few models that we took. Yes. But not all of them.
Yep.
And then they raised the points on a bunch of models we didn't take.
Yep.
And I don't really get that. So the Swarmlord, I think he's just bad. Like,
not great. 270 is way too
270 is like below the... Again, I would rather pay 170 for a Screamer Killer than 270 for the Swarmlord. Screamer Killer does contribute to the game plan. Swarmlord doesn't. Also, I'm sorry, can we have the, like, unholy alien bone sabers that, like, cut through power armor and force fields as if they're not there?
AP2.
Can we... The Swarmlord used to be AP2 ignore invulns back when AP2 meant your opponent didn't get a 2-up save.
Yep.
Now he's AP2 in the new world, and I acknowledge Ignore Invulns doesn't really need to be in the game right now. But, come on. Can we give this guy Dev Wounds? Can we, like, anything at all?
Why do Tyranid monsters hit so soft?
Dude.
I feel like they wrote this book and then raised the toughness values on everything.
It does feel that way.
Right?
It really feels like they weren't done deciding.
If a Land Raider was toughness 8, the melee stats of this book would make sense.
Yeah. None of this makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I got nothing, man. Okay. Swarmlord, sad tier. Tyrannocyte.
Can you put it?
The
can you still
Tyrannocyte
put it inside itself?
No, I don't think so. I think you can put a Sporecyst inside though, which you just don't want to.
That would be really funny.
Yeah. I don't. The Tyrannocyte doesn't inherently like do anything poorly. It's just a drop pod that can move a little bit and has a gun afterwards, which is fine. It's
kind of cute in combat too.
Yeah, it's like
you'll kill the last intercessor.
Yeah, you'll probably get an intercessor around pretty reliably.
Yep, you can put a Tyrannocyte inside a Tyrannocyte.
You can?
Yes.
Oh, good for them. Well, you don't want to, so that's okay. Yeah, it's just like there's nothing I want to deliver. Because I think it holds 20 infantry or one small monster. And one small monster, there's no monster that's small that's worth taking.
Yep.
So like that doesn't matter.
Carnifex or something.
Yeah, like who cares? Like one eye, sure. And so then you can take like you can put like what 20 infantry or 10 multi-wound infantry.
You get 20 infantry models, one monster. Or each infantry model with the wounds characteristic of more than one takes up 3 spaces.
Right. So you can take 6 like mid-sized bugs.
Yeah.
So that's 6 warriors, no leader, or like 6 zoanthropes, or like 6 pyrovores. 6 pyrovores physically cannot deploy around this. So I don't know what to put. Like I don't know what to do here.
How many points is it?
It's like more than it should be for not like having a clear-cut choice. It's 105. Yeah, it's like more than a drop pot.
It's like better than like I want it to be. It's better than like the Harpy and the Crone. Doesn't do anything.
But the problem, it just has no
purpose.
No purpose.
Okay, very top of 1 star.
I think it's the best of 1 star.
I agree.
Which is good because this is the Tyrannocyte is one of like 2 Tyranid models that I don't own a single one of.
Do you not own a Tyrannocyte?
I do not own a Tyrannocyte. I have a Sporecyst.
My one big recollection with the Tyrannocyte is, I think it was Russell when we were in Dallas and his list was like 12 Tyrannocytes or something.
Very funny, very unnecessary. Let's go on to the Termagants.
Termagants.
The last of the Endless Swarm bugs. So this is yet another 1 wound dude. But Termagants are now not the worst because they actually get guns.
Yep.
They get special weapons.
They do.
And they still get that little skitter away d6 inches when you get near them.
Which is a good rule.
It's a very good rule. And they're 6 points a model. Very reasonable. Yeah. Very reasonable. I like these a lot. I actually think Termagants are very good.
Yeah. I think they're good too.
Just getting the ability to scuttle around is great. And then also getting the special weapons has been very useful, I think. Mm-hmm. So I'm just really a big fan, honestly. They are very detachment dependent because unfortunately you probably want to make the investment for Gargoyles in most detachments. But in the Unending Swarm, these are you take like 120.
Yeah.
So in my mind, they're going to be seasonal. I'm actually going to put them like they're right around Norns in my mind.
I agree.
Where you build a list around them or you don't.
Yep.
I don't think it's worth taking a Termagant.
Nope. You take 120 or 0.
Yeah. The Spine Fist gun is actually quite good. It's assault and pistol and twin linked, and it's 2 shots. It's strength 3.
Wow, that is every action.
It is 12 inches, but like it's every action. And so, like, whatever, it's 12 inches, I don't care.
I love the fact that, like, the one guy in the back has a pistol and all of a sudden the whole squad can, like, push a button in combat. It's so funny.
There's 16 dudes with pistols in that unit.
Oh, what?
Yeah, just take 16 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, the Spine Fist is one of the main guns.
Oh.
I mean, it's 12 inches, strength 3. Like, let's appreciate what this is, but it's cute. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 20-man Termagants in the Unending Storm is quite good in my mind. So I'm fully in favor of taking it. When you take it, you go hard. When you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
Speaking of Termagants, wow, I timed this perfectly. Let's talk about the Tervagon.
The
Tervagon, beautiful creature that she is.
Can you shoot her? She's
Yeah, you can totally shoot her now.
Okay, cool.
But she does spawn D3+3 new Termagants in a wounded unit, and she's, importantly, a 6-inch aura of lethal hits.
Oh boy.
for Termagants.
That's pretty good.
So, she does not remotely justify herself.
Nope.
But Termagants justify her. That's it.
And you
all
can
it is.
spawn guys in your command phase.
The best time to do it.
You can spawn. Is it up to?
Yes.
Return up to. Oh boy. Oh no, John.
Oh, you remember that?
Oh, I remember.
You remember that trick?
I remember now. So, for those of you watching at home, say you have a Termagant unit, and some hapless fool named Quinton shoots and kills 10 of the 20 models. And those other 10 sit behind a wall, and every turn, one guy comes back, and he graciously touches an objective. And then the unit, back behind a wall. Then the next turn, a new one graciously comes.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I would say this thing is very seasonal.
It's the most seasonal thing possible.
Yeah.
You only take a Termagant when you're taking Termagants. But it's worse than Termagants because once you hit critical mass of Termagants, you then take the Termagant.
Yep.
It's very simple. Termagant, you just take one of them to provide the aura in your 120 Termagant list. She just goes in the Unending Swarm with the Termagants. That's where you take her. That's it. In anything other than the Unending Swarm detachment, she drops an entire letter on the tier list.
Yep.
But she does go with Termagants
Quite well.
just to do their thing. Mm-hmm. Hey, let's go ahead and take one of my favorite chef staples of the 9th edition index.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and talk about the Tyranifex.
Tyranifex?
Well, it was in every list.
It was really good?
So it did have to go up in points.
Okay.
That makes sense.
It makes sense.
45.
Wow! That is a substantial increase.
Oh, dude, the Tyranifex went up, I think, more than the Wraith Knight. Sorry, it went up 55. That's my bad. Yeah, it went up more points than the Wraith Knight. Really glad GW was being very level-headed and even-handed with how they applied nerfs. Hey, let's check how the win rates are going right now. Eldar on top! Anyways, I'm mad. The Tyranifex lost its -1 damage and replaced it with a once-per-game reduced damage to 0 after a wound is allocated to this model, which is therefore before you roll a save. So the Tyranifex took a very large rules nerf. Then it went up 45 points, asterisk. It was 200 in the index, went to 190 in the book for a sweet, blissful moment, and then it went up to 245. And when you compare this thing to a Norn, yes, it is terrible.
It's not great.
It just makes me so sad. It's not even like the Tyranifex just got war crimed. Like it just got hurt so bad. The flamer part of it is still decent.
Yeah.
It requires some Pyrovore support because its flamer doesn't even recover, but like
the flamer keeps it out of 1 star, but it's definitely unseasoned.
Yeah. The rupture cannon is everything I wish I was as a player.
Yes.
Which is that firing a 2 shotgun with no inherent rerolls would ever work in my life.
It's also 2d6 damage.
Dude, you just don't know what you're getting.
Will this thing kill the Wraith Knight, or will it do nothing?
I think it's better than Genestealers.
I agree.
Okay. Again, this guy, like, 2 months ago was like, here.
Oh, yeah. He was great.
I have never seen a unit get punted this hard in recent months. Like, it's been a while. Yeah. It's rough, man. However, some people used to live there, and that's the Toxicrane.
Toxicrane, arms across America.
So, ignoring the model impossibilities.
They can't move anyway.
It's a T11 14 wounded due to the 3-up save. It's melee. Go ahead and read me that.
Okay, so it's 12 attacks, strength 6, AP 1, damage 2, and TNT 2+, and then its shooting is the exact same thing, but 2d6 instead of 12.
Yeah, the AP 1 strength 6 anti-infantry is such a weird choice. Why not make it strength 8, and then I don't have to worry about wounding intercessors on 2s?
Yeah, I don't know.
And then I can wound something else decently. Strength 6 just makes it so mono-purpose. But then the unfortunate part is that it's now really good at blending light infantry, which is the thing you want to try to stop from falling back.
Yep. Wow.
And it does like random mortals, but like, hold on, when do these mortals happen?
At end of your movement phase and when they fall back. On a 3+, they have to remain stationary, though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then he does he averages like 2 or 3 mortals anytime he walks near something.
Yeah, the Toxicrane. We're just going to ignore the model impossibility and just look at this data sheet. It's 180. And you look at like a Haruspex and they're identical defense.
I would rather have a Screamer Killer.
Oh, I'd rather have a Screamer Killer than a Toxicrane for sure.
Yeah.
But for 180, you look at a Haruspex. Would you rather have a Haruspex or a Toxicrane?
No Haruspex.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because of the model. If the model was reasonable.
Probably the Toxicrane.
Then I think I'd rather have a Toxicrane than a Haruspex.
But it's still like close. It's close.
But probably.
Yeah.
It's worse melee and output, but it gets a cool roll. And I think I would take that. But that's also when it's not 55 points more.
Yeah, no, this thing's unseasoned.
I think I'm going to put it above the Carnifex just to make a point.
Yeah.
But it is rough. Yeah, if you had the kit, you could make it into a Maleceptor. Yes, if you own a Toxicrane, break the arms off, put on some Scything Talons, and work from there. Cool.
Have we ever gotten a ruling on a TO that says you can put the arms directly into the air?
I once emailed a GW associate for US Open and asked, hey, I'm just going to not sugarcoat this. Can I model the Toxicrane for advantage? And they were just like, yeah, we're just not going to count the arms. Like, you'll be fine. I'm like, great, thanks. And I didn't actually take the Toxicrane because this was before we had the old Nid book, the 9th edition one, and I didn't know what it did yet. And then I read it and realized, wait, I still don't want you. But,
yeah.
Dude, this thing
the
needs to
model's
go to,
like that big. It's huge.
Like, if this model went to, 130, 140, and then I got a friendly TO to rule that the model doesn't stop me from playing the game, then I think I would really look at this. 135. It could cost a little more than a Haruspex, and I'd be, very willing to look at this. But that's where I'd have to be. Alright, Toxicrane. Sad days. Cool. The Trigon. This guy's cool. This guy's cool.
How many points is he?
10 more than I want.
Okay. So he has,
he's also 180.
Okay, so he has a sustained hit to scatter laser, so 501, 6 shots. Then he can deep strike 3 inches away. Yeah. And he hits pretty hard in combat.
Even on the Ingress.
Even on the Ingress, okay.
Yeah, but his melee is, 12 attacks at 923?
Yep.
Which is great, but, you really do want to have something else in there.
Yeah.
You want that to wound a
He does a whole lot of things, sorta. I don't know. I think
I'd rather have a Screamer Killer.
I agree.
But he's going to go below the Screamer Killer. But he's actually not bad in a couple attachment. Invasion Fleet, Deep Strike in, get the Feel No Pain. Rapid Ingress into a weird position is good. I actually don't mind him in the Nexus because this guy's begging for +1 to hit in melee. Real ones. So there's a lot of options there. I think he's better than the Mawloc.
He is. Yeah, but I think that's a good place to put him.
We're going to do that. There we go. Alright, cool. Better than Stormlord as well. Alright, Tyrant Guard. It's like a thick, beefy Hive Guard that doesn't have a gun and is +1 toughness.
God, do you think have a 3-up save?
Yep.
Why?
Yeah, going from a 2-up save to a 3-up save, this was the worst time to do that.
Yeah, really not great.
I don't know why they did that.
They give a character 5 Feel No Pain.
Yep, while he's in the unit.
Wow.
Worst possible roll.
They can't go through... They can't make the character go through walls.
Nope.
They don't hit that hard in combat. These things are not good.
They're not very good.
They're not very good.
They're unseasoned.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You can tell Tyrant Guard Maker said, yeah, they're still 95 for 3, which is they're T8. It's 4 wounds each, and an Assimilation Swarm resing them is cute. So they're going to be towards the upper end of unseasoned, but they're just...
Not great.
They're not great.
Not great.
Yeah. Let's go with the Hive Tyrant.
The Hive Tyrant.
We're running low on guys left to rank here.
I know.
No, they did not get the 2-up back in the Codex. If they did, I would really be willing to work with it, or if their melee unit was a little better. Just their melee stats are so bad. Hive Tyrant. This guy is a king. I love the Hive Tyrant. So the Hive Tyrant does the same thing as the Flying Hive Tyrant, which is a free strat every player turn within 12 inches. Then he is a 6-inch aura of advance and shoot, or count as assault weapons or whatever. And then he's a +1 toughness over a Flyrant and the same output, but he also gets a gun because he's not using an arm on his wings.
That seems really good.
He is 25 more points than the Tyrant, which is not inconsiderable.
No.
But aura of advance and shoot is so good.
Yeah.
Because there was a time recently in 8th edition where every single gun in the Tyranid army was assault. They used to just be what kind of gun is it? It's an assault weapon, obviously. It's Tyranids. Everything was assault. But those days are past.
They are.
There are not many assault weapons left.
Nope.
And so, when you can get an assault weapon, you do. The Tyrant is kind of right in between Chef Staple and always on the menu to me. The free strats are really important because most attachments have good battle tactics.
I like him with around the Pyrovore.
Yeah, I think he's right about here.
Yeah, I'd say right below the Pyrovore. Yeah.
Totally fine with that. There are some detachments where he doesn't help, but having free strats is really good. He's a little bit too expensive for the monster he is, but he provides a buff you cannot replicate, and he provides CP expenditure in a way you cannot replicate.
He definitely is not like the monster he was, where he's like, I'm going to walk into the center, and you're not going to kill me, and I'm going to beat your face in. He doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah. I really just don't, like... It's a weird thing where I take a Tyrant on all my lists, but I think he's overcosted.
Yeah.
Because, like, he just does two things that I cannot replicate at all.
Nope.
That's the problem, is that there is no substitute for Tyrant.
Especially in Invasion Fleet being like... Feel the pain, 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 feel the pain.
Critical.
Yeah.
All right.
Venom Thropes.
Venom Thropes are amazing asterisk at what they do. Asterisk.
They
give stealth and cover to everything nearby. The cover is literally everything. The stealth is for non-monsters.
Yes.
So, like, if you take... So, like, Venom Thropes have no value on their own. They're all about what you're taking and what you...
Yeah, these things do
buff.
nothing.
They do nothing.
Weren't they like AP2?
Yes. Yes,
okay.
Quinton. Yes, they used to be good.
Yeah.
They are no longer.
Okay, sad.
I am. They also got slower. The models are sweet. They're purely, if you take enough infantry to justify them, they're auto takes. If you don't, you don't even consider them.
These things are great.
In Unending Swarm, they're amazing. In any infantry-based list, they're amazing. So I think that they're very seasonal.
Yes.
I think they're right around... like the Termagant, Haruspex tiers. A lot of stuff in seasonal. Yeah, they're a dramatic buff for Gaunts. They love that. And we're down to 3.
All right. Von Ryan's Leapers. These things are amazing rules on a terrible data sheet.
Yeah, they have like fights first and stealth.
And infiltrators.
And infiltrate.
And an invuln. And they're 3 wounds each. And they move 10.
And they do -3 damage.
Strength 5, AP 1, damage 1, baby. Woo!
Oh, it's so bad. Necron players charge into these just for free heals. It's like, oh, I can kill one warrior. Yeah, I've been very underwhelmed with them, unfortunately.
Yeah, they are.
They have the Vanguard Invader keyword. They are like custom built to go in the Vanguard Onslaught. I think that they are going to be very unpopular outside of that, but it is still an infiltrating dude who can move block. However, for my money, I would take a Lictor.
Yeah.
Well, once you've taken 3 Neurolictors.
Fair.
Then I would take a Lictor before Von Ryan's, because I can infiltrate that, hide it easier, and still sprint it up to tag or move block something.
Also not that much less durable. It doesn't hit that much less hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Von Ryan's, they could go unseasoned, they could go very bottom of seasonal, because they are decent.
I think they're unseasoned.
Just because they don't do any damage at all?
Yeah, they just don't do anything. We wrote a Vanguard Onslaught and didn't put them in.
It's because I'm mad at them.
Okay.
I'm going to put them at the very bottom of seasonal.
Okay, cool.
Sad. Alright, 2 left.
Shooting Warriors.
Boy, do they look like they should be better than melee warriors.
They're
Boy, are
just
they
not.
So you get access to the guns, but it's all ballistic skill 4.
They don't actually do that much. The guns are not good.
The ballistic skill 4 part breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It's not like you're really getting rerolls in here.
The Venom Cannon, how mighty have fallen.
Dude, it is not the gun it used to be.
It really is not. And their melee is also not what it used to be. It's not twin linked, so it's -1 AP, attacks, and not twin linked. And instead you get a gun.
But the gun's uninspiring. Yeah, you get to fall back, shoot, and charge, which is actually quite nice, but this just isn't a damage-dealing unit that wants to be, like, skirmishing.
No.
Because it's going to die if it's in combat with something it's not killing.
Yeah, the problem is, like, this one fights against skirmish units, but not real units. Right, like, this will beat up, like, scouts.
Yeah.
Or, like, Shadow Specters or something. I don't know. Unseasoned?
You sure? Are we going to ever catch a Shadow Spectre?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Moose 6.
They're definitely unseasoned. In my mind, they're cheaper. So, like, I think they're worse than Tyrant Guard because they just completely lack a role, or at least a Tyrant Guard stuff.
I agree.
They just completely lack a role.
The problem is the melee warriors are just better.
Oh, yeah. Insanely better.
Yeah.
Because, would you rather do almost enough damage in one phase or clearly not enough in 2?
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather like, actually threaten to do some damage sometimes. Mm-hmm. We finally have the Zoanthropes.
The Zoanthropes.
Zoanthropes are in a weird place. Going up in points have very much hurt them.
Yeah. They went from I'm going to take 18 to maybe.
Yeah, up 40 points for a full-size unit really matters.
Yep.
List of things that went up more than Eldar units for no reason. Like, how?
They were good, John.
Yeah, okay.
They were good.
Don't understand how, like, Fire Prisms went up less than Zoanthropes.
Pew, 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 pew.
So, anyways, the Zoanthrope.
They're one shot each. Strength 12, AP 3, D6 plus 1 damage.
They're quite good because they're the only anti-tank gun we have, period. The best anti-tank gun we have other than a Zoanthrope is the Maleceptor. And the Maleceptor is 18-inch range, strength 10, which is cool, but it's not anti-tank. Mm-hmm. It's, like, not reliably anti-tank. No. Yes, the Rupture Cannon exists. No, the Rupture Cannon doesn't exist in my heart.
Rerolling in the Nexus, rerolling 1s to hit and wound, and then, like, +1 to hit and stuff, and +1 to wound means these things shred.
Yeah. So, they can do a lot of damage. They are expensive for 3-wound models.
They are. They have an invuln save.
They have an invuln, but then they also are very weak into certain things, and in many detachments, they're not actually that good.
These things die like heavy boulders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They will just die. So, I'm struggling with where to put them. I think they're great in the Nexus where you get reroll access. Mm-hmm. And they're good in Invasion Fleet where you get Feel No Pain access. Other than that, you don't take them much. Maybe 1 unit in Vanguard.
I think maybe bottom of always on the menu.
They're either bottom of always on the menu or, like, top of season.
I would say they're, like, about where Old One Eye is.
That's probably true.
Yeah. Like, below Old One Eye, better than Neurogaunts.
Yeah.
Or they're around there, yeah.
Yeah, getting to do the fun blast into people is good, but it's that. So,
you do kill things.
I think this is where we're going to end.
Yes. Do we want to shuffle anything around?
Honestly, I was trying to, like, put it in order as I went, and I'm actually fairly happy with where we have this.
I am really happy with this.
It looks like some things have cut off. So to the right of the Tyrant right here, just so that everyone's aware, is Raveners and Von Ryan Leapers. Mm-hmm. And then to the right of this Broodlord, right here, is Toxicrene, Tyrannifex, Parasite, Gene Stealers, and the Hive Guard. I wonder if I can possibly reframe this to work. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to. Oh, maybe.
No.
No, I don't think I'm going to be able to. We're going to try one more time. Just see if we can... you go away. Let's see if we can do this. Okay. There we go.
That kind of worked.
That kind of worked. So here we go. Here's the chef staples. And then the very bottom is 1 star on Yelp. We are not missing Venomthropes. Venomthropes are in seasonal next to the Tervagon.
Yep.
Right about there. Okay, we got it. So that is, I think, where we end up and where we end this. So looking at it, it's not a bad bell curve for the Codex. One of the things that I think is very noteworthy is that we have 4 units in chef staples. Mm-hmm. All 4 of them are support pieces.
There is no damage.
They are a very good support pieces. Tyranids have incredible support pieces.
Yep.
They have some of the best supporting rules that you can, like, realistically get in 10th edition right now. They've got the guy to ignore cover. They've got the guy to give rerolls to stuff. They've got a lone op. They've got a cheap good screen that's battle line. They have all of the components, but none of the damage dealers made chef staples. Because there isn't a damage dealer in the Tyranid Codex that you're just like, I have to take this.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I think that's actually very indicative of where Tyranids are at right now, which I actually think Tyranids are quite good. We're going to wait to see how the win rate pans out. I personally think Tyranids are an above average army.
I agree.
But they are currently batting like 45%. So we'll kind of see if a couple weeks of people catching on to the new Codex, because the new Codex is not like obvious power that just kills people.
Yeah.
It's definitely not that. So I'm really excited to see where this ends up and where Tyranids develop to, but I think they're quite good. I'm taking Tyranids to a tournament next weekend.
Yep.
At Crucible in Orlando.
I'll be there.
I'm very excited to play against Elder. All right. So that is going to wrap up where we are. So thank you so much, everyone who watched this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you so much, those of you who super chat. We'll get into that in a second. And then if you enjoyed this, make sure that you leave a comment in the comment section below, as well as subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get notified every time we go live. And, as a matter of fact, tomorrow we're going to be going live with a Tyranids vs. Chaos Space Marine game on this YouTube channel.
That'll be exciting.
So stay tuned for that. It should be a really fun time. And thank you so much for watching, everyone. Of course,
super chats.
Make sure that you... I'm trying to find a thing. Make sure that you make sure that you click on the link in the description below. Make sure you check out The War Room if you want even more awesome Tyranid content. That's thewarroom.vhx.tv. And you can actually get a free 3-day trial while you're there.
All right.
Ta-da! So we're going to close this out by going through some of the super chats, because we very much appreciate everyone who contributes there. So let's get to it. So first up, Max Kraus has been a member for 6 months, and it says, John with a short beard looks like Triple H. Do you know what that means, Quinton?
Nope.
I am going to try to find out what that means and decide if that's an insult or a compliment. You know what? It appears to be a WWE reference, which I will accept, even though I don't know if I agree. All right, thank you.
Cool.
Appreciate the support,
Thanks.
Max Kraus. Relic Scuppin, John's video on his Nid Codex upcoming tournament journey was awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Relic Scuppin. Hope you enjoy that. There's going to be another episode of that coming out later this week. Tim with Super Chat. Hive Guard got nerfed when the intern hit Control F indirect. It
Yeah.
really does feel that way.
Yep.
That is absolutely how it feels. And then Jimmy with the Super Chat. For Norns, I was considering one of each in Synapse, one to camp and pew, while the other assimilator comes in from reserves with +2 to charge. I do actually think that's the best way to do it. I think, though, that you want a third. I think I would do 2 emissaries camping and an assimilator in reserve trying to come in, threaten screens. And against some enemies you don't reserve and some you do. But I do think 2 emissary, 1 assimilator is where I'd realistically go.
Yeah.
Honorable Mr. Hardwork, thank you so much for the support. New Death Guard is fun, but I'm not liking being the debuff army. Having to remind my opponent their stats are worse at every activation makes me feel like a jerk. It's very awkward when your whole army hinges on debuffs, because sometimes you say it and then your opponent doesn't include it, and you have to be like, hey, were you factoring in the -1 weapon skill? And they're like, oh, no. And you're like,
Reroll.
I don't want to ask you to reroll this whole sequence because now you're just going to randomly roll better, but come on, please. I fully agree. Having debuffs to remind your opponent about is really annoying.
It is, yeah. I like the way they play, though. I like the debuff action.
Yeah. Finally, Red Soul. Welcome to the War and Bronze. Welcome, Red Soul. We really appreciate your support. All right, that is going to be it. So thank you for watching, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.